parts out.
So we're here with Sam from Ex Ambassadors, and we've been chatting the whole time, so we're just gonna let you in on this.
I know
chat.
it's the hardest thing because like I get in and we're just
There's a lot of good stuff that passed already, but it's
I know,
okay.
yeah,
It's okay.
We can.
We're into coffee right now. Basically, I'm starting to like good coffee, and I just made some pretty bad coffee. And he's like, he's very nice. He just met me for the first time. I'm like, do you want some coffee? And he's watching me make it. He's like, oh, I'm okay. I'm good.
To be fair,
whatever you're doing, like you don't seem like someone who's doing this right.
To be fair,
yes.
To be fair,
did you already have your coffee?
I'm super caffeinated
Okay,
right now.
okay.
If I have any more, usually I can only do like 1 cup a day.
Now, okay, I'm going to interject even before one more thing. The first time we've met already, but we met and you didn't know it because we were in Cleveland. And
oh my God.
This is awesome. I like roll off the tour bus and I look up like hipster coffee on the app, whatever. And I go to like the nice coffee shop. Me and E-Man were there. And you came in and I'm like, I know I'm going to interview this guy. And I was already, what some people don't understand is like, when I'm right off the tour bus, I literally like just got out of bed. Like that's I'm in the kitchen, like making my coffee with the rest of the world around.
I probably also had just gotten off the tour bus.
So I saw you and I was like, this isn't it. This isn't the time. Both of our faces were just like, I'm in the kitchen. I'm gonna meet you.
My God.
I'm gonna meet you in the right space.
You would have said hi to me though, and I would have lit up.
You would have. But I was already there too. It's literally like bumping into someone that you don't know in your kitchen, like right outside.
Yeah.
But this is a much better way to say hi.
It's so true.
It's real, dude.
It's real. It's real. I get off that bus and we actually now have a pour over system on the bus. This is how like we're very into it.
Okay.
So our stage manager is like really, really into coffee. He's 13 years sober and is like only coffee. It's like coffee is like his
it's
shit. So he got all of us into hand grinding our own beans, like doing the pour over system. So I do that every morning here in LA. It's actually like one of my favorite.
It's like a ritual that's beautiful.
It's so great. I mean, like, look, I also have access to like some of the best coffee shops in all of LA, right in Echo Park. I'm
the
like,
reason that I don't want to get good at it is the whole thing is that I leave and go and I'm surrounded by this thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, you got
I got something? Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Little boogie. Getting started. All right.
Tis the season.
All right. Nice.
I got you. If I have anything...
No, you're good.
If I have anything in my teeth...
You're doing great.
You let me know.
We are also upstate New York boys.
Oh my God, dude.
Hell
well,
yeah,
we were just talking about garbage plates.
Yes.
Which, let's go into it for a second because...
Get in.
I'm talking between bites. I never had a garbage plate in my entire life.
Until?
Never. I have never had a garbage plate. It's like a Rochester thing. It's like Rochester. That's like
it's so
in
great
Ithaca,
and gross.
In Ithaca, I mean, it's like such a like. It's kind of its own little world.
Ithaca?
Yeah, it's kind of its own little world, somewhat separate from Syracuse and Binghamton and Rochester and Buffalo and Albany and like the rest of upstate New York is.
Okay.
But
because is there an Ivy League there?
Yeah, Cornell is there.
Cornell, that's right.
So there's
you think you're better than us?
There's a little bit of this like air of superiority.
Okay.
There, but that's in town.
Yeah.
And I grew up outside of town and it was not like that.
Did you find
very rural
growing up there that like was it a good place to dream?
The best.
It was.
It's the fucking best, man. Because it's so goddamn depressing most of the time.
Yeah.
It's so goddamn depressing.
The average person that you would run into though, like, would they think that your band would go somewhere? Because my wife grew up here, and this place is like, of course.
Oh,
what are you talking about? You'll be. You could be. You should be. Why are you not a movie star?
Yeah.
But upstate New York is like, sure, dude. Have fun. Like, have fun with your band, though.
Especially because, like, as you know, in upstate New York, it's like roots rock bands.
Yeah.
Like you got like John Brown's Body, and you got like what was the band that did the Rusted Roots?
Oh yes.
So you have bands like that just kill it. They crush it. There's a festival outside of up in Trumansburg called the Grassroots Festival. That's like full on hippie world music festival. Like, that's the scene.
I remember when I moved out to California and people would say, like, make fun of Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, wait, what do you mean? You don't think he's cool? What are you talking about?
Yeah, dude.
What do you mean? Dave Matthews is, like, religious. Everybody goes.
It's so wild.
And and it wasn't that way. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I grew
dude.
up somewhere else. This is weird.
So, like, for my band, I mean, we started making music together. I started playing in bands when I was 13, you know. And we were so obsessed with, like, Coldplay and, like, Kings of Leon and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the White Stripes. And, like, I wanted to be like those bands. I wanted to be playing, like, big arena alternative rock.
Ugh.
And there was just there was, like, nobody
was doing it.
Nobody was doing it.
There was, like, a pop punk thing, though,
Yes,
right? That's
absolutely.
very different.
Very different.
Did you have a phase with that?
No, I never did. I was like, man, the type of music I listened to, the first music I ever fell in love with, like deeply fell in love with, was hip hop from the get go.
Yeah,
like I had Fuji's The Score. I had Lauryn Hill's record, so that's like an introduction to R&B. You know, for me, and that neo soul movement, like D'Angelo and Erykah Badu, and then I got into like all the kind of backpackery hip hop stuff, and then fell in love with the classics like KRS-One.
Now you just said D'Angelo.
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you got he's in there.
That is very, very kind and very untrue.
It's in there somewhere.
Thank you.
No, like like he'll hit like the way that he'll hit something and like hold on it and back into it. And now it's just like he's bonkers. Yeah,
he's bonkers.
He's
Have you seen him live?
No, but I want to.
It's like it's a
I remember the day that I heard
experience.
about him. I was in like it wasn't even a van tour. It was a Tahoe tour.
Oh man,
and
we did the Honda Odyssey tour.
Yes.
Yeah, with broken doors.
I mean, I'm not talking about. These aren't sponsored tours. These are just like, I don't know if yours was sponsored.
Oh, definitely not sponsored by Honda Odyssey.
It's just like, no, it's a huge. It's a Tahoe that we threw a Yakima on to get the. It was like you'd shut the door tight and there would be a bag on top that would hold all the merch.
You know who that tour was sponsored by though for us? Taco Bell.
Oh, really?
We had just played a show, an unofficial South by Southwest show, and gotten $500 in Taco Bell bucks.
Oh.
And didn't have we were like in between vans. Our first van had broken down.
So interesting.
Oh my God. Our first
Did
van
you eat
had
it
broken.
all?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. We found the cheat code. So basically what we would do is we would order off the Fresca menu, which is like the healthy option.
Yeah.
It's essentially like a Taco Bell taco with no sauce.
Okay.
And we would get these just like wimpy tacos and eat them for at least one meal every day to save money. And the worst part about it is that we would be going into these places and we'd have all these little cards, and each card only had $5 worth of Taco Bell bucks on it.
Okay.
So, but there were five of us, the four of us in the band, and then a tour manager, and then we would have to, but we'd make a big order that would be like $20 or something like that. But you have to do it per card. So like they couldn't like, okay, it's $20. Swipe 1, swipe 2, swipe 3, swipe 4. You're good. You'd have to do it incrementally. So like I'd have to order 2 tacos that were like $4.50. Swipe the card, and then that card had like 30 cents on it. So we'd like chuck it. And you couldn't combine them.
Oh my God.
It was like, it was just such a nightmare every time, but we got so good at it.
Yes, the Taco Bell
explaining it to everybody. Because also no one knew what these little cards were. They're like, where's money? What is this?
Oh, the people at the Taco Bell.
Yeah, because it was like, I mean,
sure.
You know.
That's amazing.
We're not only going to like the corporate Taco Bell.
You've come a long
offices.
way. You're eating some like super hipster shit right
now. Really,
That's
really good,
so
man.
Good. He's got like avocados and sweet potatoes here.
I am just trying to repay my body back for all the years of abuse that I put it through on tour.
It. Oh, I was saying that that tour with my drummer and my bass player, I had never heard of D'Angelo. Oh. And a whole drive from LA to Texas, we just played over and over D'Angelo. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's crazy.
When that new record came out, I was just like, I was freaking out. It's so good. Have you listened to the new one?
No, I haven't.
Black Messiah.
Oof. Oh yeah. I heard.
Oh my God,
it's crazy.
Oh.
So then you're starting When do you actually leave Ithaca?
I left Ithaca in 2000. Thank you so much. I left Ithaca in 2006.
And as a band?
Kind of, yeah. So it was my brother and I. My brother plays keys in the band for.
He's so good.
Yeah, he's
good. God,
he's amazing. Like, he also just had a kid.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, Uncle Sam.
I know.
Dude.
I'm Uncle. This is actually his sweater. I stole from his house. This ugly Christmas sweater I'm wearing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he had a little baby boy. Him and his wife got married in March. Wasted no time. Wow. And John James Orion Harris is now the first member of
That's a big
the next
deal,
generation.
dude. Uncle is big. My nephew has a birthday today, and I'm like so excited to get him a present. Head over there tonight. It's the coolest.
Dude, it's the coolest. Now, I don't have kids, but you know, my brother and I have such a unique relationship and such a close relationship, you know, and this kid, and you know, like talking about the early days, like my brother has been through a lot of shit. So for anyone who doesn't really know, my brother's blind. He's born blind.
Wow, never saw anything.
Yeah.
Any light at all or no?
He has a little bit of vision. He has about 10% of his vision.
Okay.
Yeah, growing up, you know, he was battling depression and just like, there was a lot.
And what's the age difference between you two?
He's 2 years older.
Wow.
So, you know, our whole lives, he, you know, dealt with a lot of adversity. And now he is married, happily married, living in a beautiful house in the Hollywood Hills, has a son, and he's a fucking rock star. And I'm like, I am so happy.
So what have you...
And what
did you get that you wouldn't have got if your brother wasn't blind?
Man, I mean, like, so my life would have been completely different. Completely different. Like, I think the biggest thing for me is that, you know, I think my empathy is heightened and has been heightened, you know, because I was always hyper aware of what I had that he didn't.
Whoa.
And hyper aware of just like the way that people looked at him in the street. Like we lived together in New York. You know, we obviously lived together in Ithaca where we grew up. I have, you know, he's in my band. I spend so much time with him, and you know, he to me is and also he's a constant reminder, you know, of the things I mentioned, but also because he has found this grace and this positivity in his life that
always been there. When did that come?
That came later.
Wow.
That came later. But he just has this kind of like, it is what it is. Everything is, you know, that's meant to be is meant to be, and kind of mentality and this gratitude for just everyday life and just being here that I take so much from. I take so much from it on a daily basis.
You know, I interviewed Need to Breathe in here.
Yeah.
And they were talking about being brothers in a band and how hard that can be. And they actually had like a huge fight. And we talked about it.
Yeah.
Been those? Is it hard to be in a band with your brother?
Yeah, man. I mean, well, it in the early days it was really hard. It was really hard. You know, like Casey he's so talented and just like the best addition, such an essential part of this band. But I think if he heard this, he'd probably agree with me. There's a lot of like self-doubt and self-loathing going on early on. And we would have to deal with that on a constant basis. I would be fighting with him all the time. He would be super passive-aggressive towards me as the band leader. You know, because also I'm the younger brother.
I'm a younger brother too.
Which is like...
obnoxious, dude.
It's crazy.
Worst.
But it's a totally different thing with me and him too, because, and this goes back to our childhood, like growing up, and this is also kind of leading into him being a new dad. there were not many moments in our childhood where I felt like he had done something before I had. Like he had this kind of like older brother experience. Like, you know, he wasn't getting his license before I did, and like driving off and me being like, oh man, I can't wait till I get my license and I can drive.
Yeah.
You know, there was never a lot of things like that, you know, that happened in our childhood. I was always experiencing them for the first time on my own without having seen him do them first. Yeah. You know, including like going to college. I mean, he did leave home before I did. He left to go to a technical school for piano tuning for the blind. This tiny little school. There were like 6 other people in his whole school in Vancouver, Washington. But now, as a father, there's this totally different experience.
That's great.
That I'm like, wow, what's that like? Dude. Whoa, because I want to have kids someday too, you know. And he's like got this wealth of knowledge. Now,
did he start piano before you were playing?
Yeah, he did.
Okay,
yeah.
And did he just come? He's insane.
He's insane. I mean, he started playing when he was 8, and it was just something that he really like latched onto. And you know, there were, as with most kids, people, he had a lot of other interests growing up, but that was the one thing that kind of stuck. But so back to your original question. Early on, we did fight a lot, and most of it is just because of the weird dynamic that we have as like me being the younger brother, but also kind of like looking out for him a lot and helping him a lot. And there were times where he was like, I don't want to be fucking helped. Like, get off me, and then I get like testy and, but I think I know, I mean, I would not trade it for anything else. No. It's like such a special bond. Such a special thing. It's crazy, man. It's really like, gets me verklempt.
And you guys write songs together?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we, as a band, work on production stuff, and I usually do all the top line myself, and with input from them. I like to have other people tell me that what I'm doing is not terrible, because most of the time I think everything I'm writing is terrible. So to have them in the room to bounce stuff off of is really cool. And we've all gotten much better at like communicating with no filters to each other, which is
really
super
a hard thing to get, but if you can get it, it's so special.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's
And how many did you write for this next one that just came out? I'm very lucky. I've heard some of the new shit, and it's fantastic.
Thank you,
I really like it.
Yeah. We wrote so much. This album, this is the 3rd iteration of the record. Yeah. Okay. We've been through a lot since
third iteration.
So we made the record 3 times, scrapped it twice, and this is the 3rd.
Same songs? New songs?
No, new songs.
Okay.
Like new songs, just like cycling through. It's been a real time of transition for us. So one of the founding members of the band is no longer in the band.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The drummer?
So no, our guitar player.
Guitar player, got it.
Yeah, our guitar player, who was my best friend. We've known each other since we were kids, and it's
life.
It's life. It's hard. He's dealing with, he's battling some demons, and it just was not conducive to this life. And we're not really speaking right now. Hopefully, I've tried to reach out a couple times. Hopefully, we'll see.
Dude, it's hard.
It's hard, man. It's so hard.
Band is like
family, man.
That's family. You live with them. You're close to them, and then there are things that are really, really difficult.
And like,
hopefully everybody works through it.
Yeah, this is my my like brother. I've known him since I was 5. And like we've always been in bands together. So that was a really big blow for us. And so we've been kind of on this journey of like rediscovering who we are, and
that happened mid-record?
That happened mid-touring cycle for VHS.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's okay to say this, but he's battling substance abuse, and it's something that just affects everybody. And it's funny talking to a lot of our fans. A lot of people hear bits and pieces of that world in the songs that we write, and it makes me really happy to know that music connects with a lot of the community of people who are in recovery, and whether you're in an recovering alcoholic or an addict or if you are someone who is a family member or a loved one of an addict.
Everyone should go.
Yeah, man.
I think it should be like, hey, you go to like your thing.
Yeah.
You do this during the week, and then everybody goes to this.
Yeah.
For something, because everybody's got something. Yeah.
So it's anyways, that happened, and we were in the midst of like kind of touring and then starting to write songs for the new record. That was 2016.
Yeah.
And then we wrote a bunch of songs. We had a single that Ahead of Myself that we were like, the label was fired up about. And I was kind of like, great. I'm so terrible with like picking singles.
Oh,
I know what my favorite songs are, but like, I didn't think Renegades.
You didn't think it was. Isn't this so messed up? It's
so messed up, man. And like, and then everyone's out there telling you like, you just got to put out like the song that you love the most, like the one you believe in, but it's so much more complicated.
It's way more complicated than that. What I know is, and where I'm at with my next record, which is coming next year, is I know the heart is there.
Yeah.
So once I know the heart is in the record, then I start listening to other people to say like, okay, which one hits your ears the best? Which one do we feel?
Yeah.
Because the most important thing to me is that it's in there. Because the worst thing you can do is chase after single.
Yeah.
And if you go after single in each writing session, then you could have a record that was all like chasing.
Yeah.
And that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I know the heart is there, then I go like, okay, someone tell me what the hell the single is here, because I don't know. And I've been wrong so many times.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So the first iteration of this record, we made, me, Adam, and Casey, and with Noah kind of coming in and out while he was in rehab, and we were working through our stuff. We wrote this record that was like a full rejection of alternative and like that world that we had fallen into, because I was like, I feel trapped. I don't want to have to make the same type of music over and over again.
Cool.
And I'm a singer. I want to sing. I want to show people that we can make this like soulful pop. And so we made this record that we were really proud of, and the label was kind of like, this is really great. We don't really know how to even wrap our heads around marketing it for you guys. So we were like, okay, cool. We'll try just like putting a couple songs out there and see what happens.
Sure.
So we put out this all the while we've had a single Ahead of Myself that was kind of like, hadn't really done anything at alternative radio or pop radio, but had like steadily been climbing at Hot AC, which is a very slow format. Very, very
super slow.
Super slow.
I get it.
So we put out Joyful and we put out Don't Stay, and we made these beautiful visuals, and I'm still so proud of these
Joyful
songs.
Is my favorite song.
Oh,
like,
you, man.
And when I say this to you, my wife was trying to stay to say hi to you, to look you in the eyes,
Oh,
and tell you that Joyful is our favorite song of the last year.
oh man, thank
Anyone
you.
who, I'm going to put it at the front or the end of this podcast, it's my favorite song of the last year.
Thank you so
There's
much.
nothing
man.
better than that song.
That means
there is
so
nothing
much
better
to me.
than that song.
Thank you.
We went to this, I think it was the Art of Elysium thing.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, and it was a John Legend thing, and everybody's there, and we're like, Derek Huff is next to me on the left, and we're all sitting there, and then you walk out, and you sing this song Joyful, and me and Asia were like, what the fuck was
man.
that? That was the best thing I've ever heard.
Thank
we
you.
ran home. It wasn't out yet, I don't think. And
I don't know if it was out.
it wasn't out yet, and we're waiting every day, checking to see when this song comes out.
Thank you, man.
So, yeah, holy shit.
Thank you. That song means so much to me, and anyways, this song, that one and Don't Stay, we put out, and they didn't really like catch fire like we wanted to, but it doesn't matter.
So what do we do with that?
I don't know. I don't care, because
I don't
so
care
happy.
At all. That song is so good. Fuck everyone.
You, man.
That
Thank
song
you.
is great. You get to die
Yeah.
knowing that song's great. And in the internet world, it might just come back.
Who knows?
It might be a movie sync. It might be something.
That's
good
kinda-
shit will
yeah.
never die. Something
Yeah.
that good is like, what do you do with that?
Well, it's a song that was the kind of the question that everyone was asking. Like the label was like, "This is so special. We want to wait until it's like the right moment to release it." And I was getting so frustrated and impatient. We wrote that song fall of 2016. We didn't put it out until the top of the year this year, 2018. So like almost like 2 years. Or no, I guess it was like a year.
This is so important that we talk about this because if you're an artist and you know something is so good, like you have to be okay with the world not getting it. And you being like, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell anyone. That's great.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way I am waiting any longer to put this out because there is some. I mean, as much as there is validity in waiting for the right timing for stuff. I mean, people wait years to put songs out.
Yeah,
they're for the right moment, and then they do it, and it hits, and it's like boom, and it's perfect.
What is the moment?
The moment, it doesn't matter. You know,
we're
like
all waiting for a movie trailer. Like everyone's waiting for the right movie trailer for this song. Dude. So who the hell knows?
Who the hell knows? So we put it out. My fiance is a filmmaker. She directed this beautiful video for it that was all live sound. So we recorded it live in in the LA theater downtown.
And you said you recorded for 2 days?
Yeah. So we did the video was shot all in one day. We had a day of rehearsal.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then we shot it in one day, and it's
great.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I wanted to do something because both that video and Don't Stay, and actually Ahead of Myself too, all have a live recorded element to
cool.
it, which I really wanted to do. I had seen it in a Bruce Springsteen video for Streets of Philadelphia, where he's like, the track is playing in the background, but he's like walking, and you hear like the diegetic sounds of his footsteps and traffic, and he's just kind of like mumbling this song. I was bruised and battered, I could know what I felt. And someone has like a boom mic on him, and he's got a lav, and it's picking up everything. And I was like, that's so cool. It feels so raw,
totally,
and simple.
It's ballsy too.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
And so we did it for all the videos, and then I realized later when my brother was talking about it in an interview, he was like, "Yeah, it's great for me because when someone's watching a video in the room with me, there's no new experience for me. I'm just hearing the song again. But this is cool because there's something different about it because it's live." And I didn't even realize that was maybe one of the reasons why I wanted to do that.
That's really cool.
But that song, man,
I want to I can't get off it.
No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
It's a really important thing for artists to talk about because when you go to write another song, are you chasing that feeling again of this beautiful art, or are you now questioning? It's undeniably my favorite song of the last year. That has to count for something.
I know,
right?
I know.
Like I had a little bit of this experience with my last record I put out. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
And it has one that did really well, but the rest of it has done like the same thing. Like people come up and freak out the way that I'm freaking out to you.
Yeah.
But as far as a mass thing, not as big as my first two records.
Yeah.
What do I do with that information? I'm writing the next record. I don't want to start reaching. I'm trying to chase this thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to chase this thing of like, I know that is so good. Yeah. Every lyric, every beat in Joyful. Yeah. Every
thank you, man.
The sax, the Saturday Night Live
That's
sax
me.
solo. I know. The whole thing, it made me it did something that rarely happens in music where like I had to stop and it took me to a place.
Oh man.
And so if the world or this mass media thing doesn't get that, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was something I really, it was a blow for me. It was
Are you
a blow.
At peace with it?
Yeah, now I am. At the time, so we put it out at the top of the year this year, and I was expecting an avalanche, and you know, it was not that. It was just not that.
I'll bring up a story. Have you ever heard Billy Joel talk about Piano Man?
No.
Same thing.
Really?
Piano Man did not take off at radio. It was like a super slow climb, and now it's his biggest song. So who the hell knows?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. And you know, I think that song, we had like built this whole record. We built a whole album around that song and that vibe and that feeling. And we ended up walking away from that and just letting it kind of be its own moment. And I'm good with it, man, because it's a song that we're gonna play forever and forever. Yeah. I mean, we will always play that at our live shows. Anyone who's listening right now, just guarantee that you will.
For the rest of time, when you catch one like
that,
don't
worry. Yeah, you will hear it.
It's so great
because it's so fun to play live, and it just means so much to me. You know, it's like we wrote it at a time when all this shit was happening with my friend, and you know, like just. We were in this weird transition place where we were trying, I was desperately trying to just like live in the moment. I was exhausted by tour and felt like I was kind of floating, and in the midst of like a crazy election and you know that atmosphere caught hold of every one of us in a different way, and I just wanted to write something like that, and we did it. Casey sent me these chords, and I was like listening to them in the car, and I came up with that hook, the "to be joyful, joyful."
So good.
And then brought it into. We were just renting an Airbnb, and I wrote the whole song just over these chords that he sent me. Sent it to Adam. He was like, "This is sick." Programmed drums over it. And then he sent those back to me, and we turned it into like this crazy, Joe Cocker.
Yeah, super Joe Cocker. That's what
like
it is.
The band.
Oh man, you saying that is what got me now. That's what it is. It's Joe Cocker.
It's get by with a little help from my friends, Joe Cocker. That's like sick. That's
the blueprint.
Vibe.
Yeah,
that's the vibe. And like Ray Charles.
Yeah.
You know?
And sax. Were you like a band kid?
Oh yeah, I was a full band kid.
Nice.
I played saxophone. Saxophone was my first instrument, so it was always alto sax for me. I played a little tenor, but that was the first.
Did you have to play clarinet first?
No, I just went straight.
In my school, you had to play clarinet before you could play sax because everybody thought the sax was cool, and there was just gonna be too many sax players.
Yeah.
So like, all right, if you want to play sax in 5th grade. In 4th grade, you have to play the clarinet, and I was like, I'm not waiting.
For some reason, it was like everyone wanted to play the trumpet.
I play the trumpet so badly.
I am not the best saxophone player in the world, by the way, but I can get by.
Yeah.
I can get by with it, and like if you give me a lick,
I can learn licks and play them.
I can practice it, and I'll get it.
We had a couple sets ago. We had like a looper pedal, and I would like loop up harmonies on trumpet, and that was really cool. Have you done that?
I do that live every show.
Oh, you do? Awesome. Dope.
So cool. What do you use? The RC 300?
That was what we used. Yeah.
There's this trick that I can tell you. So you play to a click.
Yeah.
So we play to a click too. And if you have the click in your ear, you have the RC 300. It's got 3 tracks. The first track, you just press record and press stop, and whatever tempo that like the computer recognizes that as, you can go in, adjust the tempo to like you're playing at 120 BPM.
Okay.
Play it at 120. And then anytime any loop that you're starting on the other 2 pedals will lock in with the stop time. So like you have to start it on, but if you hit it to stop it a little off, it'll still start right in the same place. It's like locked into the grid.
Whoa.
Because what I found is that like I'd start it on time and then I'd stop it if it wasn't locked in, if the first track hadn't been locked into the tempo.
Yeah.
I would stop it and it would be just like totally off.
Yeah.
And the loop.
Have you had some massive failures with the looping situation?
So many. I mean,
let's talk about those. I have had awesome, massive live loop failures.
I mean,
that's a whole other podcast.
It's a whole, like, it's just so embarrassing.
Because if you make a mistake, you hit a wrong note. That's one thing. If you hit a wrong note and it just keeps coming back, it's like, Jesus, enough.
I will just stop it.
So me and Greg, which no one who's listening to this podcast cares about this, but I'll give you 10 seconds. We tried to create one. I had like a whole stage set up where I had like go around and play different drums and stuff and loop everything up.
Yeah.
And we wanted to have it so that you could mix it from front of house, which we can't seem to find one like that. So we built one that was like, we called it the Devil Machine. We is a very like broad term. Greg built one. Yeah. And it worked some nights. I'd say it worked like what? 60% of the time?
Yeah.
70? 75, but 25% is still quite a lot of time to
Yeah.
be in front of like massive crowds.
Yeah.
Where it's like, nope, that's not working. Oh shit, and it's coming back around, and it's not working again, and oh god, yeah, and like nothing. Anyways,
It's such a nightmare. It's such a nightmare.
but when it works, it's so dope.
When it
So
works,
like,
it's really cool.
It's worth trying it.
So yeah, we've been doing that, and the stuff that I do saxophone looping wise is like so basic and so minimal. It's like creating chords.
It's really nice though,
essentially.
and it creates a moment in the show that you know will always be interesting, and that's great.
Yeah.
Hold on. One other thing that I want to ask you was I was like watching an interview and you said you had a Brian McKnight phase.
Oh yeah, that was like the first.
What's your favorite Brian McKnight song?
If it's all right. Oh no, wait, no, that's not Brian McKnight. That's Montel Jordan. Sorry, that's Montel
okay,
Jordan.
Similar.
Brian McKnight was the one make a dream come true. Two, wanna be with you. Three, girl, it's plain to see you're the only one for me. Yeah, oh my god.
Good. Anyways,
Woo!
that's neither here nor there. But that's so.
Hey,
I had like
baby.
a really good Brian McKnight zone, like in my mom's minivan, just like getting in touch with myself.
That song, and then that, and Montel Jordan. If it's all right, let's go somewhere and get it on tonight. I'm gonna get you look good tonight.
Yes.
Oh my god. I saw those videos. I was like watching TV, and I saw them when I was like 9, and I was like,
You're like,
This.
This is dope.
This.
Oh, I love it.
yeah. So I was just from like the age of like 9 to, I mean, forever. I've been obsessed with hip hop and R&B. That's always been at like the kind of the root of what everything that I draw from.
And so I want to go back to the record. So the first iteration of the record sounds all like Joyful.
Yeah. So the first iteration of the record doesn't sound all like Joyful, but it's very, very much like rooted in that soulful pop R&B world.
Okay.
And
what is why not just like right now, is more music better or not better? Or are you guys coming from a place of like hold it back and only release certain things because we want to keep something?
Well, we haven't been holding back is the funny thing. It feels like we have, but we haven't, because between the time that we put the record out in 2015 and now, we've put out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we put out 6 or 7 singles.
Got it.
So we're doing singles, and it depends. Like we put out Joyful and Don't Stay, and then we put out the song called Devil You Know, because it got a bunch of big sync opportunities, and we put that out. And a song called Torches that also had a big sync opportunity, and then the song Hoping that we did with ACLU, and I was featured on a couple different tracks and stuff. So we're definitely not taking the less is more approach.
Of course, yeah.
But with this iteration of the record, what it came down to was like, I was so laser focused on this sound and creating the sound and redefining ourselves as this sound.
Interesting.
That I think what it came around to me realizing was that it was more my ego getting in the way, and my ego being like, no, I want people to know that I can sing like this and that we can play like this as a band.
Yeah.
And that was not the right move.
Okay.
We ended up kind of moving away.
To go down.
Listen, dude, I'm so glad, because the record we have now, I'm so proud of.
Cool.
So we kind of came to that conclusion on our own of like, this is not ready yet. And then realizing like, okay, maybe if we want to sell this to the world, we got to find an alternative radio syncy song. So we started chasing that.
Cool.
We chased it.
We chased
that motherfucker. And we got a bunch of cool things started. And then we ended up bringing Ricky Reed on to executive produce, who is like, now we are close friends.
Such a good dude.
He's like someone I will be collaborating with for a very, very, very long time. He's
dude.
So good.
Yeah.
We brought all this music to him, and he said 2 things to us. First was that the soulful stuff, and like we were doing like this like funky shit, he was like, this is really cool, but it sounds like you are showing everyone, hey, look at me, I can do this. And that's exactly what it was.
That's what it was.
That's exactly what it was. You know, with the exception of Joyful, like being just this pure thing.
Yeah.
That still is untouchable. You know, and that and Don't Stay. I love both of those songs so much. And then with the newer stuff that we had been chasing, this like alternative single that like felt right for the sync world, and he was like, this stuff is cool too. I don't know what the songs are about, and I hear none of you in them. Which I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I'm like wet. You tell me that shit, I'm just like, okay, great. You know, you want me to put more on my... Yes, of course the world needs to hear more of my voice. Of course. So we went back and we reworked a lot of that. One of them was a song called Hey Child, which you heard, which was like totally different. Thank you. And that turned into a real personal one for me, and you know, kind of a love letter to my friend and to my future nephew, being like, hey man, I know the world can be a tough place, but you know, I promise you it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
You know, that turned into that. And so to be able to insert more of that heart that you were talking about, we were able to do that. And now we have a record that is a beautiful marriage of everything that we all and I wanted to do with like flexing. Yeah. You know, and showing like the world like, hey, we have some really interesting
really
sounds.
Cool, weird shit.
And also songs that feel just like massive and
so good.
But who knows? Like, look, who fucking knows? This is an album that I'm so proud of that the label's hyped on. Like the label's hyped on it right now. Like everyone is feeling good, like ready to go. Like 2019 is ours.
It's yours.
Maybe it's not.
No, I mean,
who fucking knows? But that's fine. But that's I'm like the thing is like we
just
all
have to ride it.
We all
you just
gotta
ride
be good with it, man.
You go. You show up every day.
And like how good? I mean, like this sounds like corny, but you know, like how lucky are we?
The most.
Like how lucky are we? We're in this beautiful, beautiful house. Like. You're writing killer songs.
It's so
I'm writing killer.
It's so lucky to do it, and you just have to ride the wave. No, you never know, and you just keep making art. But the biggest thing I'll take away from here is when you know that something is good, you have to put it out. Yeah,
when you know that something is good, you have to put it out.
Don't be an egomaniac and think everything you do is good.
Yeah,
but when you know that like this is just great. So if I pulled that card very rarely in my career, but there were a couple times where I was like, this is great. Everybody shut up. This has to go out.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's definitely something to be said for patience. Mm-hmm. I think that we are all inherently very impatient people, as creators and as artists. We all are like, no, it is right now. I wrote this today. It has to come out today.
Yeah, and I think we're also in like a data-driven space where if you don't get this like some research back immediately that something's great, then people are like trying to figure out maybe it's dead and that's not worth it. It's like, no. Some things I just know are great, and I have to put it out.
Yeah, man.
But that doesn't work with business. Who the hell knows? Art, whatever.
Who knows?
Who the hell knows? I don't know.
And that's like, I mean, I would rather be in that space than in a space of like predictability and like statistics and like only.
So have there been a couple times where you knew that you had the thing?
Never. I like am so amazed when I talk to other writers who have like had hits and they're like, you know, like I put this song. I was like, nah, like fuck that. We're gonna put this song out. And
who are these people? I never have felt that.
I have never felt that, and
I have felt that so hard about the wrong song. So then I've never felt it about the right one.
I felt that way about the song "Unconsolable," which is like our first single that we put out on Interscope, and like I felt that way about "Joyful." And like these songs that my friends and all like people I knew had heard, and they were like, "Yo, this song, this is it." And I had felt it too, and I had made it. I was like, "This is it," and then it's just not it.
It's so intense.
Renegades, I like wrote in my fiance's childhood bedroom in her house in Massachusetts, like over Christmas, like around this time in 2014, and it was like. We were just pulling at strings at anything. Like we were trying to put a record out, our first record, and I was in like the Alex the Kid camp where I'm just writing all the time, writing all the time. It was really, really very, very invaluable. And he was like, look, there's this Jeep campaign that's maybe happening. I think maybe we should try and write something for it. I was thinking about writing a song called Renegade or like Renegades, and I was like, cool, great, anything. And I just wrote like a couple different versions of a chorus. We ended up landing on this like folky kind of thing. Yeah. And I wrote a hook over that he was like, cool, write verses to this. And I did, and then sent it to him. And then a couple weeks later, he was like, this is great. Like, they really like it. They want to try shooting a version of the commercial with this song and a version of a cover of This Land Is Your Land, which we also did.
Okay.
And then this whole time I'm like, man, I'm kind of curious, like what car they're trying to market right now.
Yeah.
And I go online and it's a Jeep fucking Renegade.
Renegade.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was like, wow, I just got
We're in a good
totally tricked into writing a jingle, but cool. But like, cool. Like, I'm with it. I'm here.
And the song is great.
And I love it. And I love it.
song.
And I connected with it. And we in such a surprisingly deep way.
Yeah.
You just never, like, growing up, we were always like, never sell your songs to commercials, never sell, like, but the connection that I ended up finding with this song and that our fans found with this song, I mean, like, we were always a band that really were insistent upon being ourselves and doing our own thing. And you know, we lived in Brooklyn and we're trying to make music in like the heyday of indie rock and in like 2008 and 2013, like when every band was doing like this crazy like Baroque pop stuff. And we just couldn't do that. We were this alternative rock band making,
which
like,
is amazing.
Arena
the
type
fact that
shit.
you guys are
Thank
crushing as an alternative rock band in 2019
it's
is unbelievable.
I'm so scared every day of my life.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we, and then the way that we operate with being who we are as people, and my brother and I, and like, we are always looking out for each other, and are unafraid to be ourselves, and Casey is the epitome of that, I think, in my mind. And so we made this music video that was all about the disabled community, and the song transformed into this really personal thing.
It's so good.
And,
Tell me a little more about, because I'm a huge fan of Alex.
Yeah,
like the drums that he somehow gets.
He's great, man.
Are very specific, and I don't think there's other producers. I'll be like, oh, those drums are. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Did you know getting into his camp? Was there a reason? Because he was like the Imagine Dragons guy, right?
Yeah.
And then I think Dan like found you or something.
Yeah. So we got a random email that Alex the Kid wanted to meet with us to maybe work on some stuff.
Cool.
And then that slowly turned into, no, he actually has a record label and maybe wants to sign you guys. And this is coming right off the tail of us being courted by a couple labels and everyone just passing on us. Yeah. So we were like, okay, sure, we'll take another one.
The roller coaster.
And I met him and we really connected. His work ethic is crazy. And what he's so good at, he's so great at finding these incredibly talented people and bringing them together, and people who are willing to like put up with. I would send him something and he'd say no. Just no. And say like, okay, what do you want me to change about this? And he's like, I don't know.
I don't feel it.
Try it. Send me more ideas. And I would have to go back to the drawing board with nothing, and then rewrite, send it, and get another no, and just keep doing that until it was like, oh, that's dope. And it's brutal, but it really, like, that style of working changed the way that I write, and has definitely, like, undoubtedly made me a better songwriter.
So what I'm finding right now, a season that I'm going through in writing, is that I'll do that to myself like 2 hours in.
Yeah.
If I don't think the idea is cool. I would never do that before, but just like this faith that something will come.
Oh, it's
right?
the hardest. It's the
really
hardest, man. Because also you have sessions with like people, like I know lately I've been having sessions with I've been lucky enough to have sessions with so many talented people.
Unbelievable
And every
people.
day
Yeah.
I am so nervous walking into it. I'm like, please, God, let us write something good. Because sometimes I've had experiences where I go in with like a big dog songwriter
Oh, yeah.
and we write nothing. And I'm like,
Nothing.
I leave and I'm like, oh my God. I really
I thought I was good at this.
I gotta get a new job.
I thought,
you know,
thought that I knew who I was.
right? It's
Leaving a session with like a top writer and knowing either that you literally got 0 or that what you wrote is just dog shit is one of the weirdest experiences.
It's so hard.
You go home and you're having dinner and you're like, I don't know who I am. I don't know if I'm good at things. I'm pretty sure it's over for me.
It's really crazy, and it's so crazy that we all put that much pressure on ourselves.
Yeah,
every time.
You gotta be willing to bomb. You have to be willing to bomb. That's a part of it.
I'm trying to get used to that, and like, you know, there are also producers and songwriters that we've worked with or who I've worked with on my own who we haven't written anything that's come out or anything that's even good, but I love these people.
I know.
I just want to hang out with them. So like.
We just
keep writing together.
Yeah. Now, is Alex still your guy that you send stuff to?
We didn't really work with him on this new record. No.
Got it.
But it's been so.
It's like a training process that happened.
Yeah, really dude. That was really important, and he was very, very integral on that first record.
So good.
But you know, we're also still writing, and we have been working with him a little bit on it. But mostly it's been with Ricky Reed and
cool.
I just, again, I can't say enough good things about him.
That
like
dude's incredible.
He's so good, and just like the way that we work together is we'll go in and production is secondary. The first thing is like, let's make this song. Let's write this song. And he's like invested in your perspective, fully invested in your perspective. Is not like the type of person that steps on you or and is also very okay with you saying like, you know what, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
And like,
okay,
takes that
yep.
and moves on.
Amazing. Okay, Let me hit you with some of these questions. You're the best.
Let's do it. I could talk. I feel like I could talk for hours.
I love it.
Dude,
no, it's so good. You're the best. Okay, so what is? Everybody has a good answer to this question, and it can be any answer you want to give. What is the most spiritual experience you've ever had?
Oh man, ever in my life. Holding my nephew.
Ooh,
holding my nephew for the first time. I was like, I'm crying right now. I'm like, I was such a mess. I was like holding him in the hospital room, just like trying not to like snot on him, like singing quietly, like, la, la, la.
Yeah.
Just such a.
Just taking in like the awe of it or like.
Yeah, man. I mean, like this kid is the next generation for my family. And like, oh man, I remembered this moment. I was like holding him and I was remembering this moment where Casey was so pissed off after this one show and had like locked himself in our practice space. And I was like banging on the door, like trying to get him to calm down. I hear him like breaking shit inside. And he's just like, I can't fucking do it anymore. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And that was the thought that was going through my head while I'm holding like his newborn son, and we're in this great place in our lives, and I just could not be more grateful and
that's good,
thankful. So
that's a good one.
that for me, I think that's the one.
It's really good. I mean, what's his name again? Your nephew?
John James Orion Harris.
Oh yes, that's like a king's name.
This kid is
unbelievable.
He's like
future. So give me a moment in your career that was surreal, and then also one that was like super humbling.
Oh man. The most surreal moment, I think, for me was being on stage at Lollapalooza with Tom Morello. That was really wild. Playing a song that we wrote together.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. And it was so weird too, because like, I mean, look, we're a band that is now known for like this kind of like folky alternative, and then the ballad, like a power ballad kind of songs. And here we are, we made like a hard rock song with Tom Morello. So that's weird enough on its own. And the fact that like, this is one of my childhood heroes, like Rage Against the Machine.
Of course.
They were fucking everything to me. They were fucking everything. I watched that live at the their last show that they did on the Battle of Los Angeles tour. What was that show? Where did they do it? It was live at the Olympic Stadium or something like that. I don't think it was at the Coliseum. It was like live at the Olympic Stadium in LA or the Olympia or something. But I would watch that DVD over and over again. And like, here's this guy who was like, it's got such a recognizable sound. And I'm like I'm 26 years old and I'm living like my 14-year-old wet dream.
Oh my God.
It was insane in front of like 60,000 people.
Massive amounts of people,
at Lollapalooza. And the most humbling, this is also a Tom Morello thing. We played K-Rock a couple, like later on that year. We played the K-Rock Acoustic Christmas. And we had like a 6-song set. First 5 songs were just us, and we were going to bring him out for the encore. And we crushed the 5 songs. We were like crushing it. I was like, yes, I'm fucking hyped. And then we brought out Tom, and his guitar wasn't making sound through his amp. And he's like, we're like trying to stall, and he's like yelling and like trying to get someone to help him. And he's finally just like, fuck it, like let me just plug into your guitar player's guitar amp. So he plugs direct into the twin reverb, which is not his amp, doesn't have any of his pedals. And I'm like, oh,
that's
okay.
bad. That's not good.
All right, okay. Well, let's go. Let's do it. And we start off the track, and the tracks are fucked up, and we're like totally off the grid. And I'm like, I have to stop. We have to stop about like 20 seconds into it. I was like, stop. Start it again. And we tried starting it again, and the tracks were still off.
Yes.
And so our drummer's like, we're just cutting it. There's a couple bars of like intro where we can kind of hear a little bit of it being off. So it was off, and he was like, no tracks. And so we played the song with no tracks and left that stage feeling so bad. So awful.
I just love it. I love shit like that.
Oh my God,
there's
man.
So many of those.
Oh, not only was it like in an arena full of people and like radio people that were trying to like impress, but like also like Tom Morello is on stage with us. We just looked like such noobs. It was
it's glorious.
It's
a big part
awful.
of it. Okay, best and worst thing about money.
Best thing about money is not worrying about where your meal is going to come from. Worst thing about money is wanting more of it. Always. And not feeling like what you have is enough. Yeah. It's twisted. It's so twisted. And I think that, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm also like Jewish, so I'm constantly freaking out about my money and always like worried that it's just gonna disappear. So it's a very thick.
Do you think about it more now that you have some, or did you think about it more when you didn't have it?
I would say it is definitely a little bit less now. Okay. Because it's not like a daily struggle. I quit my job working at a restaurant in 2011. 2011. I got a crazy lucky tax break where I got $7,000 back from the federal government, from the state government.
Sick.
And so I was like, and I had just got a job performing in a play that was going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. and that was going to pay me a couple $1,000. So I was like, I got maybe 10 grand. I'm going to live off this for as long as I can. I lived off it for a year and a half.
Nice.
That
dude.
combined with, I got, luckily I got a couple relatives who gave me Starbucks gift cards.
Huge.
$50 each. And I got like 4 of them. So I had $200 at Starbucks. I would have the Starbucks breakfast sandwich every day with a coffee. And that was like,
so good.
I'd sometimes have that for lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
So like coming from that to now having not to worry about like that meal, like that's kind of like put some of my stress at ease. But now it's like big money thoughts because like, look, we live in LA and like, you know, I'm like walking into your house. I'm like, ooh, like I like that table. Like, how come I don't have a table like that in my house? Like, shit, you know, maybe I should. Maybe I'm. You know, maybe
it never goes away.
It just never goes
It'll
away.
Never go away.
And like, and it's just there's so many levels to it, man. It's crazy, and I think that you know, right now I'm at a place where it's not at the forefront of my mind.
Good.
I sometimes envy people that are like that. Like, do you know some people? Like, I know some people who are like, they wake up every day and they're like, how can I make money? Like, and they're so good at it. They're so good at it. Like, I got a couple of homies who are like, oh, like I invested in this and like profited.
My
like
problem is
this.
that I don't know how to kind of do things.
Yeah.
So if I have that in me.
Yeah.
To like, oh, I think I'm gonna learn about real estate.
Yeah.
And then like before I know it, I've spent 4 days watching only YouTube videos about how do you flip houses on real estate, and I'll like go all the way down the hole, and I'll be like, this isn't my purpose in life.
Yeah. I do.
I could do this maybe. I could get better at this. I can like learn. I'm smart enough to learn things.
Yeah.
But like I don't want to spend too much time in this zone. There's like other things to get good at.
Yeah, dude.
You know
I mean,
what
like, I'm obsessive when it comes to music and when it comes to, like, if I'm trying to learn a part, I will just go into a hypnotic, like, trance, and I'll just play it over and 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 over again. Same thing with writing. I'm trying to break myself out of this habit, actually, of just, like, banging my head against the wall.
Yeah, totally.
Until I get it, because that doesn't really help anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, not always.
Okay, what is the biggest myth you believed about yourself that you've been able to like break free from?
Oh man, these are tough.
I know. This is the good part.
Biggest myth about myself,
like that you like grew up believing that you don't believe in anymore. You've been able to work yourself out of.
That I was gonna have hair for the rest of my life.
Did you have incredible hair growing up?
I had wild hair, man. I always had a high forehead, and like my dad would always tell me stories like, you know, when I was a kid, like kids used to make fun of me because I had a high forehead and be like, you're going to be bald by the time you're 20. And I went back to my high school reunions and like I had a full head of hair and none of them had hair.
Yeah.
And so here I am thinking like, okay, I'm good. Like,
but you rock this so well.
It's part of my look, man. Like
now it's like your thing.
Look, on like a man-to-man level, like I feel more confident and sexier now.
Totally.
Having lost my hair and having embraced being bald than I ever did before. And I think it's something a lot of dudes are like really afraid to talk about.
Totally.
You know, it's like it can feel fully like emasculating and just like when it starts to go. And like I was trying to like hold on to, I just kept going shorter and shorter and shorter, you know? And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going shave my head.
Do you remember that day?
I remember like the time. I remember doing it and being like, wow, this is crazy. And I kind of like it. And then seeing pictures of myself and being like, whoa.
That guy has like a thing.
Yeah.
That's
I remember
great.
when I first buzzed my hair. That was the biggest thing. When I got a buzz cut for the first time, I was like 22, 23. Yep. And I was like, fuck with this. Like this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so then from there I just kept going shorter and shorter and shorter. Yeah, I mean, it's like that was fully. I was like, I believed that I was gonna have like my dad's hair, for my whole life, and I didn't. And that like if that ever happened to me, that I would feel so less cool, so less sexy, like. And I just fucking now I love it.
Just own it.
I own it, man. And it's crazy too, like talking to a lot of like other like bald dudes. Like a friend of mine just recently decided to like shave his head completely. He's like, dude, I did it. I was like, how do you feel?
Did it.
How do you feel? And he's like, I feel fucking great.
I feel so good.
Oh
my
I was like,
God,
yeah,
I feel
I know,
awesome.
right?
That's amazing.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
Where do we go when we
Body
die?
image shit, man.
Yeah, dude.
Men gotta talk about it more.
We have to. It's real.
It's real. It's
Okay,
real.
so where do we go when we die? Best
Who
guess.
knows? Who knows? And if I could, I would love to like have a plush like cloud seat up in the heavens and be able to just look down on everything and everyone.
Do you think that what we do here has any effect of anything next? Or is it like it's over?
I believe that, you know, things are cyclical. Like in terms of this life, like if I'm going through a lot of bad shit,
yeah,
I know something good is right around the corner. If I'm going through some good shit, this is the problem. I'm always afraid that something bad is going to happen. I'm like, it's too good. It's too good. It's too good. What's going to happen?
What's up?
But I think you just have to strike a balance and really just appreciate things when things are good.
Yeah.
And when things are bad, appreciate the things that are good.
Yeah.
I mean, because what else?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's gonna happen. I love the idea of reincarnation. I love the idea of having past lives, and I feel like maybe I feel that sometimes.
I love that we don't know.
But we just don't know.
But that is so great.
I was just watching this documentary about like microbiology, and if you draw this biologist, he drew a big circle, he made a line, and he's like, "This is how many species of microbiotic species that we are aware of. This line, that's on this planet. The whole rest of that is like completely unknown to us. So there are so many unknown things in this world, and I love that.
Keeps it so interesting.
Imagine my God, man! Like, what a boring existence.
Super boring.
So boring.
Okay, you've been fantastic. I have one last question for you. What do you think your purpose is here?
I think that my purpose here is to try and remind myself and people around me of the beauty of being a human being. That's it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because I got to remind myself of it constantly. And I think that other people in my life and outside of my life need that too. I think we all need those reminders. And I think that is something that I am good at. And in whatever way that I do that, whether that's through music, whether that's through acting, whether that's through building a house, like whatever that is, that's why I want to do it.
Dope. Okay, this is the end of the podcast, and I'm going to go directly into Joyful. So everybody be listening.
Oh my
this
God.
song, right after he says that, we're going directly into my favorite song of the last year. Thank you so much, Sam. We love you, buddy. The good part.
This is so fun,
So
man.
fun, dude. I love you.
Tell me your story, but don't leave the good parts out. Doctor's notes, swinging votes, but I can't decide if I stay here much longer. Surely you will die. Lived a life full of vice, passion and crime. Can't say I'm perfect, but I certainly tried to be